Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, and welcome to my monthly garden walk round and tour. First Sunday of the month I do in the summer months. Obviously this one's on the 3rd of August, so things have been progressing quite quickly now with how things are growing, so I thought we'd have a walk around and see what there was interesting to see what's changed in the last month, see what's developing or not developing as the case may be. And always start in the same area. This is my medlar. It has fruits on it, not a huge quantity to be fair, so it's a bit breezy today. Probably about 2 dozen fruits on it. There might be enough if they make it to maturity to be able to produce a little bit of jelly. It had a lot of flowers on it, but quite a few have dropped off. I think it could be a little bit pot bound, might be lack of water at the right time. It's always hard to know sometimes what causes fruit drops on these. They start off looking very good and then it all goes a bit downhill, but anyway, we'll see what happens, and obviously we'll get updates on these in September, and they should be ready by October if there are any still left on the tree, but looking not too bad, but a little bit on the small side. Moving on down, if you saw my video the other day, I showed my in-ground lemon tree, killed back to the ground in December 22, when we had the Arctic freeze and the temperatures dropped to nighttime temperatures of -7 for a week, and this completely died back to the ground or to the grafted area down here. It's a Myers lemon, and I thought the plant had died completely, and then it sent out this new shoot from the vicinity of the graft, but I couldn't be sure if it was below the graft or on the graft or just above the graft. It wasn't easy to see, so this shoot has been growing for a couple of years, and as I showed in the video recently, I hadn't seen any flowers on it, but I found a fruit that is very clearly a lemon, so therefore this is the Myers lemon. Looks like it only had the one flower and it's set. I don't know if anything will happen to that, but I'm not too worried. But the main thing is I now know for sure it is the Myers lemon. Next to it is it's one of my blueberries, which I've trimmed back a bit just to make some space. Wanted to get some light through to the lemon, and I wanted to get light through to this pineapple guava next to it, which is Mammoth. The fruits have been progressing quite well on this. Let's have a look here. It's got loads of fruits on it, and some of them, frankly, for the beginning of August are quite a decent size. It's got loads and loads of fruits that have set all over it. They're developing very nicely. Looks like we're going to have a promising crop this year, and as they're swelling quite early, I'm hoping that some of them will get to quite a decent size. You'll have to excuse my thumb, I closed it in a kitchen drawer, frustratingly. But yeah, there's loads and loads of fruits on the Mammoth, various shapes and sizes, so they're doing very nicely. Next to it I've got the blueberry. The blueberries have finished fruiting now. Got a couple of dried fruits on them, but they're not edible, and the birds have been picking them off anyway. Next to the blueberry I've got my Apollo pineapple guava that I planted in ground to replace the seedling one that was here that produced vast quantities of flowers every year, perfect for pollination, but the fruits on them were absolutely dire, and obviously I've transplanted this from a pot into the ground. It does have a few fruits that have set on it. They're not particularly big, but as it's been planted this year I wasn't really expecting any at all, so if these little ones here do make it to maturity, even if they're small, I'll be very pleased about those. Behind it is a seedling pomegranate. Nothing much happened on that. I did cut it back hard and it's growing back again. Nothing to report on the kiwi berry that's on the fence here, but that's growing back well. And next to it I've got a male planted that hasn't done a lot this year, but it is growing. so that obviously means there's a good chance of perhaps getting flowers next year. So finally I'll get some cross-pollination with the female. Ornamental plant next, Caesalpinia Gillesii. I did cut it back quite hard. It needs to be cut back again. I'm not going to worry about it now. I'll do it in winter, but that flowers from sort of late June through to probably late September, and you can see it's a member of the pea family from the seed pods. Doing very well. Can't really see it, and tucked away behind it, in fact it's leaning on it, is a sunflower pawpaw of the variety sunflower. That needs to have the Caesalpinia properly staked up and cut back so it doesn't squash the plant. Hasn't done much in the last few years, but actually it's grown a little bit this year, so maybe we'll see some growth. Next to it is my in-ground pomegranate. Now it has set some fruits this year. I've actually put mesh bags on 3 or 4 of them in an attempt to protect them from marauding birds, wasps, caterpillars or butterflies that might lay eggs and burrow into the fruits. But at the moment, let me see, I think there's another one behind here that I haven't bagged. That's about 2 inches wide. I don't like putting bags on them because it can cause problems with the fruit rotting. But there we are, there's another one down there about 2 inches. Another one there about 2 inches. I think there's another one down there that I haven't bagged. And another one up here that I bagged. This is probably getting on for 3 inches. No idea if any of them will get anywhere near being ripe, but obviously we'll have to wait and see what happens. Moving on from that, I've got my Triumph pineapple guava in ground. This also has not as much fruit set as the Mammoth, but enough, you know, enough to be keeping us going. And they're not a bad size. Again, for the beginning of August, got to a respectable size. Looks to me like there'll probably be about maybe, well, somewhere between 1 and 2 dozen fruits on it, and I think most of them will make maturity now. They're a little bit hidden away underneath, but that's no great problem, and it's still showing a little bit of new growth on it but no flowers. But anyway, hopefully these will get to quite a decent size. Moving on, got my in-ground pawpaw here, unnamed seedling this is. Look at the size of the trunk on it now. Great size, probably about 3 inches wide, and interestingly it has got about 4 or 5 fruits on it. I don't think you better see them up there, and the ones that are higher up, probably just see them, the ones that are higher up were not ones that I hand pollinated, so that has actually set fruit on its own. But I did hand pollinate a load of fruits lower down and they didn't set, so frustrating. It just goes to show hand pollinating isn't always the magic answer. But it's a great sized tree. It's probably about 10 to 12 feet tall, so I might have to top it because I don't really want it growing much bigger because I've never get to the fruits even if they set. Moving on, little rootstock jujube here that I took off one of my other plants a few years ago. Might use to graft onto eventually. My in-ground, obviously, Chilean guavas. Now these had thousands of fruits and flowers on them this year, but in actual fact, due to the dry weather, the plant got very dehydrated and it's dropped probably about 80 or 90% of its fruits. They just sort of turn this yellowy orange colour and dried out, but it does have some fruits on it, that some of which I think will make maturity. But I literally thought I was going to get thousands of fruits this year, and it probably just looks like a couple of dozen now, but that's okay because it will put more energy into the remaining fruits, I would say. So I'm quite happy with that. We'll just see what happens. Now just a quick look, and this one's the Villarica strawberry. It seems to be holding a few more fruits, but that's dropped some as well. Then we're moving on to my next named pineapple guava. This one is Gemini, and I showed this in a standalone video. It has actually got some quite decent sized fruits on it. These seem to have set a little bit earlier than the Mammoth. I wouldn't say Gemini is isn't known for being a particularly large variety, and yet if you look at this one here, the fruits are a pretty respectable size, to be honest. Look at that fruit in there, that's really big for the beginning of August. So I'm happy with how that's looking. There's lots of smaller fruits that I suspect, as you can see, will just dry up and fall off. This is what happens to them when they're not going to make it to maturity, but once they start swelling like that, you've got a good chance of getting edible fruits. And this has got loads on it as well, probably 20-30 fruits at least. Some definitely won't make it, some will. Next to it is my in-ground cherry guava. Don't know if it's a yellow or red one. Now this has started flowering again this year for the first time since it was killed back in December 22. You can see some flowers on it now. It flowered once before in its first main summer in ground, never set any fruit, which is unusual because normally cherry guavas seem to set fruits quite easily, but this one wouldn't. I've no idea why. I've tried hand pollinating it this year, but that doesn't seem to have got anywhere at the moment. Can't see that any of the fruits are set, but I'm still keeping my fingers crossed. Behind it, not easy to see in ground, is a Suriname cherry that I planted in ground. That's actually grown. It sort of died back, and I thought it had completely died in the cold winter, but now it's probably put on about 8 to 10 inches of growth, and it's completely reshooted. I'm just hoping it gets big enough to be a bit more cold resistant this winter and not die back so much. But obviously I'm going to cover it, as well as the cherry guava, with frost fleece, and we'll see what happens. Moving on to my passion flowers. This one here is the Passiflora incarnata, or maypop. That's one of the flowers there. They die back to the ground each year, and obviously it's grown back extremely well. It's flowered quite heavily, but zero fruit set on it. Now that's despite the fact that I planted a Cyrulia next to it, which is meant to be a compatible pollinator for maypop, but at present there's been no sign of any cross-pollination working on the maypop. However, the Cyrulia has set fruits. It's got a few on it. Don't know if they're going to make it to like turn an orange colour and make it to maturity. They may be hollow. You can't always tell, because if they don't get pollinated by another passion flower, these fruits can be completely empty inside. Very hard to tell until they turn orange and you pull them off, but it's got quite a few fruits on it, although they're not growing to a particularly large size. It is edible, the flesh, but it's very bland and tasteless, so it's not the sort of thing that you'd eat much of, but it's still interesting to see them. Now if you've seen, and this is another maypop here, it's just started to get growing a bit. I'm not expecting too much, but it's a named variety, but I can't remember what the variety is. When I say named one, it is an incarnata, but it's a variant of it, which came from Thompson and Morgan, but I don't think I wrote down what this was, but it should have a different colour flower when it gets to flowering size, but it doesn't look to me at the moment as if it's going to produce any flowers this year. We'll wait and see. Now right in front of that, in ground, rather crazily, I've planted a white sapote. This is an unnamed seedling, so obviously it's not likely to flower for many years. If I could find some way to keep it alive, the plan is to cover it in a couple of layers of frost fleece in winter and see if I can keep it alive, because obviously if I can, the longer it stays in ground, the more likely it is to survive. It has got a nice thick stem which should be quite woody, and obviously it survived a reasonable period of time, it might be viable to graft a named variety on it that could flower, but I don't actually believe they'll be able to flower and fruit. I don't believe there'll be a fruit outside in the UK, but keeping it alive will be an interesting challenge. There is one of the Caerulea flowers there, and then next to that I've got some of my Asian pears. This one here is Nijisiki. Some of the fruits I've left unbagged, some of the fruits I've bagged, because what I'm worried about is obviously these unbagged fruits getting codling moth maggots in them, but obviously by covering a few up, some should make it to maturity without being either pecked by birds or damaged by caterpillars. So that one's a Nijisiki. Next to it, the only one I've got planted in ground is my Olympic, which is also known as Korean Giant. Again, I've bagged some of the fruits. It has got quite a few fruits on it. That's a small tree. I've bagged some of the fruits to protect them from codling moth, and left some of them exposed because it doesn't matter too much. Now behind the Korean Giant I've got Kumoy. Same thing, I've bagged some of the fruits. You can see the variation in colour to some of the other varieties. I've left some unprotected and some bagged, so we're going to see how they get on. And the same with my final Asian pear. You can see a completely different colour fruit. This one is Shinziki, and again I've protected a certain number of the fruits in the hope that I can protect them, and I've left some uncovered for the codling moths, and they'll ripen if they've got moths in them. You can see, sometimes you can see scar damage on the bottom of the fruit. If they've got codling moths in them, they will ripen and drop off when they're much smaller. You can see scars there, which is quite often the sign of the bugs getting inside. Now, quick look next at my jujubes. This is the Lee. Now this Lee has quite good fruit set on it this year, best and earliest it's had, and you can probably see some of the fruits are probably ½ an inch across, so much better than I've had in previous years. They're nowhere near as big as I was hoping they were going to be by now, but nevertheless much bigger than they've made it before. Now it's possible that some of these larger fruits might get to an edible size by the end of September. I don't know how quickly they're going to grow because they seem to have been very slow, but nevertheless I thought I'd show you quickly. And the other one is my Lang, and for whatever reason, even though it's next door right beside the Lee, the Lang never sets any fruits, or not as yet. I don't know why that is. They should be compatible and be able to cross-pollinate each other, but although it's had huge numbers of flowers on, I haven't seen a single flower set fruit, which is a bit of a mystery. Right, let's see if we can just squeeze through. I'll just see if I can squeeze through here very quickly. Wanted to show you my potted avocado. It's looking a bit dry. I think I need to water it. This is a seedling bacon that I've got in a small pot. Definitely needs repotting and watering, but I just haven't had time to do it. And that's one I got from a friend called Mike Gee. Next to the avocado, behind it, I've got my Szechuan pepper. That is... I've temporarily forgotten the Latin name at the moment. It's something Bungianum. But there we go. You can't always remember the name. Oh, Xanthoxylum. Xanthoxylum Bungianum. And those red berries you can see are the Szechuan peppers effectively. You don't use the seeds, you use the skin. And these will dry to a bright red. And then I'll better harvest them and use them in cooking if I so wish. Next to it I've got my Pennsylvania Golden Pawpaw, not looking in the best of health. I think it's very pot bound, and I think it's also short on nutrients. It's in a small pot, so I'm going to have to do something about repotting that. Got a few citrus here standing amongst the other plants and trees to sort of keep them sort of slightly shaded, ones that I've repotted, and they've all recovered nicely from their repotting, so I'm very pleased about those, and some have had flowers on and may even set. This one here, for example, this one's a blood orange, so we could get some fruits on that. Sneaking back out again, there's my carob bean tree, looking very nice. Did once, when I first got it, have a few flowers on it. I've no idea if it was growing from a cutting, or if it's a seedling, or even an air layer. No way of knowing, but as it had flowers on it, I thought it might have been grown from a cutting or an air layer, but I only had those flowers must be about 3 years ago, and nothing since. But it did get damaged badly when we had that very cold winter. It's growing back nicely now, but they seem to normally flower in the autumn, so maybe there's still flowers to come on it. Quick look at my other pawpaw. This is my Prima. It's got a handful of fruits. It's got some very small fruits like that one that I've left unbagged, and it's got probably half a dozen larger fruits that I have bagged in the hope that I can protect them through to maturity. I might be able to duck underneath it and show you a couple of slightly better fruits, possibly. Easier said than done around here. It's still like a jungle, even though I've sold some plants off. So there we are, you can see there some slightly larger fruits, so that's looking promising. Ones like this one have dropped off, but other ones stayed on. Just going to carry on climbing through the jungle quickly. Let me just climb through here so I can show you very quickly. I've still got a couple of Rojo Brillant fruits on. Plant's looking dry, although we've had rain. It doesn't get water at the back, so I'm going to have to get the hose out. Same as this one here. You can see how dry this one is. This variety is Russian Beauty, which I think's Rossianka, but it's looking very dry. The pot definitely looks dry. It's just a case. I think what happens is at the back here they don't get water on them. The weeds still grow though, for all that. Yeah, they're definitely very dry. Quick look here at my chocolate vine, Kebia quinata, literally covered in thousands of fruits. In places you can hardly see the leaves for the fruit, so some of them are very small because we've had obviously a very dry summer, but I think that these ones here will get to a very respectable size. Should be ready, I would say, in September, but they're certainly going to have some good size ones. Irrigated Chilean guava down there, still alive, needs to be repotted and looked after to come back to the sort of health it used to be in, but we'll get there in the end, I'm sure. Just turning round behind me, probably can't show it from there, so I'll walk round the front. Let me walk back through here again. Easier said than done. These are the figs I've got left still. Not doing brilliantly. They're very pot bound, and I really do need to give them water and a feed or a repot. So going back to the persimmons, I've got one fruit on my Hiratanashi that's still holding on. Still got a handful of fruits on my Hyachia, but look, even at this size in August they're dropping off. Now that might be caused by dryness, possibly. Maybe I need to water them, but there's still some decent sized fruits left on it, so it looks like I might get 2 or 3. Here's another of my cherry guavas, strawberry guavas. This one of course is in a pot, but I've got it amongst my other plants. It's set fruits on it. and that's been flowering outside the same as the other one, so quite why this one sets fruits and my in-ground one doesn't, I don't know. I guess that's down to being a genetic, I guess it's a genetic problem at the end of the day. There's not an awful lot I can do about that, just have to suffer it. I've still got a few citrus down amongst here that I'm trying to keep alive, but they're not looking very good. What's this one? Pomelo Chandler, looks barely alive. I might try repotting it again into another type of mix, see if I can rejuvenate it. Down here is my Grimmichama, still showing signs of coming back to life. It's a slow process, but it's nice to see something happening. Pakistan Mulberry behind there, I've cut that back hard because that was overgrown. It will eventually go in ground if I can find a space. Moving on to my loquat or loquats. Not doing too bad in the fabric pots. I suspect maybe they're a bit pot bound, I don't know. They haven't grown much this year. You can see new growth on them, but of course the test will be whether or not they flower in autumn. Flowered last year and couldn't get anything to set. Another citrus there, that one is, I think that's a grapefruit. Got lots of flowers on it and possibly some fruit setting. Moving around, my last named pineapple guava. This one is unique, and this has also got good fruit set on it, and this one's in a pot, so I'm really pleased about how that's doing. So that's the unique. Got a Peter's honey fig in front of it. I think I'll probably be getting rid of a load of the figs. Another cherry guava which is growing in a pot here. It's been flowering well, and again looks like it's going to set fruit, but it's very late. I mean, it doesn't sound like early August, but these take a good 5 or 6 months to get to an edible size, so we're still going to be struggling to get these ready because it starts to cool down after all in September. Nothing much to show here. I've got an Actinidia arguta Issai against the fence. That has some fruits on it. They're about maybe 1 centimetre or less in size. I think that some of them will get to an edible size, but it's probably again a bit dry against the fence, so I think I need to water that. Che fruit here, it's Chinese mulberry. Don't know how many years it will take that before it flowers, probably many years. My blue sausage bean plant died again, so I'm not going to bother with those anymore. This is a Vanilla persimmon, looking very dry. I've got my grafted unknown variety of avocado here in the pot. I think it'll probably be a Hass. It's one I'm going to try planting in the ground probably in the next week or so. I just haven't had time to do it. Another citrus here. This is my, let's see what this one's called. That's a Clementine Tardivo. I'm not featuring all the tropical fruits and subtropical fruits today. I'm just featuring a few citrus amongst the other plants. Moving around here, I've got a mulberry here that I've just cut it back hard to see what effect it has on it. I want to see if it shoots out again. Well, quite hard. This is the white variety. This one is Carmen. It's pretty much finished flowering now. Behind it I've got the Moldovan pink. I'm also going to, that's pretty much finished fruiting, so I'm going to cut that back hard and see if it sends out more shoots. I've heard that sometimes if you cut them back they'll re-fruit. Don't know if that's going to happen with these, but we'll wait and see. Seedling persimmon in grounds, rootstock, I think it's Lotus. Going to use that if I want to graft back onto. This mulberry is agate. It's finished fruiting now. Pick the fruits off it. I don't need to cut that one back. I'm going to leave it as is. Moving on to here. This is my Morris Migra. That's the other type of mulberry, black mulberry. This variety is Repsine. Normally recognised by the black buds. I think it's very pot bound, so I'll have to repot it into a fabric pot. Has produced some fruits for me. Another rootstock persimmon, which again I think is probably a lotus, not an American one. There's a grafted persimmon there. Here was my red gold peach. Looks like it's got a rotted peach on it, so I think I'll see if I can pick that off. I'm just going to twist it off if I can, because it's bruised and it's damaged. I don't think it'll be edible, but we'll probably cut this open on a video and see what happens. And of course my large in-ground fig tree that's still got a few Brabers on it. I've had a few dozen off it. Had a really good year for Brabers. Wasps got a lot of them as well, and it has got main crop figs on it, which you can see here, which are a very good size for early August. So I would think if the weather plays ball, there's a very good chance that we're going to have main crop figs by looking at the size of these, end of September or beginning of October, if we don't get any nasty cold spells. So anyway, I've got round as quickly as I can. Obviously wanted to show you what was happening and what wasn't happening. Really pleased with how some things are going. That's much larger than I ever expected to see a pomegranate by the beginning of August. Don't know how we're going to go with persimmons. Obviously I'll get some main crop figs off my in-ground tree, but the ones in pots aren't going to do anything because they're too pot bound. I think probably I'll end up selling the rest of them off and not doing any figs apart from my in-ground tree, and I'll just focus on the persimmons and trying to get them a bit better, and a few other of the rare trees. Sometimes you can just have too many things to choose from. And my Japanese raisin tree, don't think it likes being in a pot, but I just wanted to have one, so that's where I've grown it. So thanks for watching the video. Sorry if it's dragged on a little bit too long. It's what happens when things really start growing, and you tend to take longer to show you around them. Thanks for watching. Please give me a thumbs up, share the video for people who think you might be interested in any of the plants I'm growing. Please remember to subscribe to my channel if these sort of things will interest you, and click on the bell if you like to know when new videos come out. See you all soon. Brett out for now.